you don't have to go to 10 different banks. You don't have to, search through YouTube to have all these different banks and all this different stuff going on in order to actually apply for funding and get approved. What's going on? It's Colin Brown here from Business Credit Unlimited. I'm back. So today we want to talk about this concept known as credit stacking and how it's dead in 2025. Before we begin, just to let you know, my name is Colin Brown, and I help business owners get access to business funding to either start, grow, or scale their companies. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe because we're going to keep these funding videos coming your way anyways. So look, what is credit stacking? Normally, when you hear the term credit stacking, someone is referring to mainly business credit cards stacking. So you're getting a ton of business credit cards for your business. But to go a little bit deeper, normally someone is referring to getting, say, 2 to 3 banks or going to 2 to 3 banks that pool from each one of the three main credit bureaus, being Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Meaning you would get 2 banks that only pull from Experian, 2 banks that only pull from Equifax, and like 2 to 3 banks that only pull from TransUnion, or whatever the case. Now, with this concept, right, the reason that you're doing this is because we know that when you apply for credit, you get what's called a hard inquiry. And that hard inquiry is actually going to hinder your chances of getting approved for more funding because banks don't like to see that you have a certain amount of inquiries on your personal credit reports when you're applying for business funding. So if you were to apply for six different business credit cards and they all pull from the same bureau, then actually by the time you get to that fourth, fifth, or sixth one, then you could get denied just because you apply for so much credit and they see all those fresh inquiries, right? When I say they, meaning the banks. Um, that's normally the idea, but let me tell you why that doesn't matter anymore and why that whole thing is dead. Okay, at least with us. Here's the thing: when it comes to business funding, right, you don't have to go to all of these different banks. You don't need a million different banks. All right, you don't need like 8 different banks to hit the number that you need to hit for the most part in business funding. If number one, you're qualified, right? What is qualified? Meaning you have the personal profile that you need, normally a 700 plus credit score. I mean, I talk about this all the time here on this page. I can show you an example here of what you would mainly need. Let's take a look here. So I'll put it here on the screen. Some of the main things that you need to in order to qualify for business funding. So the 700 plus credit score, the utilization, the amount of personal credit limits that you have, the highest credit limit, those types of things. These are the things that you need in order to qualify on the personal credit side. Now, on the business side, it's a tad bit different because for the most part, you don't have to have that much going on with your business in order to get funded. But when you do have these things, like you have the not credit age, the age in business, so on and so forth, it's going to help you get access to more funding. So it's not, I'm not saying that it doesn't help you and it's not beneficial to have revenue coming into your business, to have an LLC that is age, just saying that it's not typically required from several institutions that just don't care as much as others. So they will get you funded or they will allow you to get access to business funding even if you're just starting out. But the whole point is that number one, if you're qualified, you don't have to go to 10 different banks. You don't have to, search through YouTube to have all these different banks and all this different stuff going on in order to actually apply for funding and get approved. So my point is that it depends on the number too, right? So if you're anywhere from 50 to 150K that you're looking for your business, and let's be real, for the most part, it really depends on what type of business that you're in. A lot of times that will do you just great, right? And if you're looking for that range, or say even up to 250K, a lot of times you don't need more than 4 to 6 banks in order to get that done. Matter of fact, 50 to 150K, a lot of times we've hit that with only 1 or 2 banks. So why do you need to credit stack in order to hit your numbers that you need for your business when you can just focus on getting high limits for that particular business. And that's why I'm saying this all in the first place, because if you focus on going to the institutions, going to the banks, that's going to give you what we call the bigger bag, right? With the larger limits when it comes to your 0% business credit cards or business credit cards, you don't have to worry about credit stacking. You don't have to worry about going to all these different banks. And with our clients and what we do over here, we don't focus on going to like a massive number of banks. Like what I do when I'm looking at a client's profile is I'm looking to see which banks will give them the biggest bang for their buck. Who can we go to get 50, 75, 100K just from one bank, right? 25 to 50K with another bank, 25 to 50K with another bank. So a lot of our clients are getting approved for 50 to 150K with just two, three different banks. And I show examples here all the time. And I actually review clients' profiles. You can see what their personal profile was looking like, their business was looking like, and which banks that we went to and the limits that we were able to get access to. And a lot of times, especially like with Chase, we're hitting 50, 100K plus just with Chase. And then we finish up with like 1 to 3 different banks, and the client has already hit their goal. So we didn't have to credit stack. And that's another thing. So that's my next point to say why credit stacking is dead to me in 2025 is because you don't need to worry about the bureau. Like, who cares about what bureau that the bank that you're looking to go to pulls from if it's the bank that's going to give you the biggest bag? So, for example, like if we look at a client's profile and we see that we're able to get them 150K, but all the banks that we need to go to, they only pull Experian. Who cares? Like, I'm not going to say, all right, well, let me go to a bank that pulls TransUnion. Let me go to a US bank or something that pulls TransUnion just for the sake of pulling TransUnion. You see what I mean? That's why, like, if you do credit stacking still, you're probably going to be focused more on the bank that the bureau pulls from than looking at your profile or looking at your client's profile and seeing which bank actually is best for them, because they may not have a bank that pulls from Equifax. They may not have a bank that pulls from TransUnion. So who cares? Or Experian. It could be. It really depends on a lot of other factors, because when you're going for business funding, the relationships matter a lot more. The time of business, what state they're in, like all these different things, all these variables matter a lot more than just exactly where they pull from. So, and that's the second reason. Here's another thing is lead me up to the last point here, is that a lot of times we're still coming in with this idea even in 2025, which is come on now, this whole thing is dead. And I've talked about this several times now. When it comes to applying for banks, like when we're applying for business funding and you're doing like these online applications and you're trying to like stack them up, it just doesn't work like it used to, right? I've done the method before. Like I pulled up a bunch of tabs and like applied for a bunch of different cards. Like it just doesn't work like it used to, because number one, say if you tried to apply for 3 different business credit cards at the same time and you're all doing them online, well, by the time you get to that second one, even if you click it really fast, the second bank that you're applying with is going to see that beer or see that hard inquiry from that first bank that you just applied with. So definitely by the time you get to the third bank have seen that you just applied simultaneously with all 3 of the banks together. So they're going to see the first 2 hard inquiries anyway. So you might as well not even do that method anymore, because they caught on to that. And now the systems are a lot quicker. They can see that hard inquiry as soon as you do it. And then if you're doing that anyways, you're not taking the time to establish and build a relationship that you need, right? Especially if you just, going in with a banker that's not a relationship manager or something like that, just the banker that's inside of the branch, or you haven't even done that. You haven't established any relationship and you're just applying online. I'm telling you, like, it just doesn't work like that anymore. You're going to need to build a relationship first, have a business checking account first, personal checking account, other products with the bank or whatever the case first, and really, establish that relationship first before you just start applying online. And that's if you're trying to get higher limits. But look, if you want to just have like 10 hard inquiries, right? You want to just go to 10 different banks to get to the same result that we can get to in like 2 banks, then go ahead, be my guest, go right at it. But I'm telling you, like, it's just not needed anymore at all. Like, that's what I'm saying is that it's just not needed anymore. Like, if you know how to get high limits, you could just do that and focus on a few banks that's going to give you the best bang for your buck versus just trying to go to all these different banks and quote unquote credit stack. Especially, I don't know, man, it's just kind of crazy. Like, going to a bank, it's kind of crazy to me thinking about it. Like, going to a bank just because it pulls from a specific bureau. And look, we used to do it over here. We used to, but so I can't knock it too much. But right now, 2025, it is pretty much dead. But that's it. Look, y'all, we almost at 1,000 subs. So look, make sure if you've been checking on the channel, like I can see the statistics, y'all. I can see how many of y'all watching versus actually subscribing. So just make sure you go ahead and subscribe, and we can get this thing going to 1K subs and beyond. And look, the books off the bookshelf, we're actually in the process of moving right now. So, things probably look different by the next few videos, just temporarily. But that's pretty much it. You guys, let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the comments below. And also, again, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, because we're going to keep these fun videos on the way. Let's go, y'all. Let's get it.